right, good morning. Thank you for everyone's patience. It is right at 10:41. I will call this meeting of the Industrial Development Board to order here on Wednesday, November 16th, 2022. Next item on the, and it appears we do have a quorum, so we can move forward. Item number 2, consideration of the October 19, 2022 meeting minutes. I will give everyone a quick moment to review. One item, one minor note, should anyone want to make a motion to approve, it looks like in the minutes consideration section, just one small item that was left off. At the last meeting, we approved the June 8th and June 15th minutes, but we also approved the August 17th minutes as well. And that is omitted here.
With those considerations, I move to accept minutes.
Second. All right. So we have a motion. It's properly second. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. All right. Motion carried. Thank you, board. Moving on to item number 3, public comment period. Is there anyone here from the public wishing to speak? All right, as there is no one here wishing to speak, we will close the public comment period and move to new business. This is presentation by council, landlord consent to assignment and assumption of lease and estoppel for National Museum of African American Music at 5th and Broadway. We do have several guests related to this item. You obviously, in the packet, thank you to Macy and thank you to LaTanya and Ginger as well for putting everything together for this meeting. Just to, again, give some background on the relationship with the IDB and the museum. So with that said, we do have a guest here. So if you will, introduce yourself, let us know, full name, let us know who you represent, and tell us about this, why you need it, and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues for any questions. And hit the, should be a button on there for you to hit. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, board members. My name is Bo Campbell. I'm an attorney with Waller, Lansden, Dorch, and Davis in Nashville, and I represent Brookfield Properties, which is the owner of the 5th and Broadway development at the corner of 5th and Broadway in downtown Nashville, within which is the National Museum of African American Music, as I'm sure most of you know. So this matter, there's a summary in your package, and the 5th and Broadway project is in the process of possibly being sold to an investor. As part of that sale, the museum, the pilot lease with the museum will be transferred. And if you'll recall, and those of you may not be familiar with it because this probably went through before some of you were on the board, but part of the development was the creation and construction on behalf of the museum by the developer of the museum building. And the museum is housed within the retail project portion of the building. It is in a condominium unit, which has been transferred to the Industrial Development Board, so just like you do many of your all of your pilots, so that you guys, your board has title to that condominium unit. It's then leased back to the developer, as is typical. This case is a little bit different because of the relationship with Metro and the museum and some complications. It's then further subleased to Metro, which then has a long-term operating management agreement with the museum. So the museum operates this property, and it receives the benefit of a payment in lieu of tax arrangement with the Metropolitan government.
And that's just for this portion of the property.
Manager in charge of building that project did such a wonderful job, and Henry Hicks, who is the president, is that your title, Henry, of the museum board, and runs the museum, and they're here in support of this as well. So So as I mentioned, the project is being in the process of likely being sold. Under your pilot lease, that pilot lease between the board and the developer would be assigned to the new buyer, so they'll step in that role. And under the lease, this board has the opportunity to approve that assignment and also to confirm to the buyer that the lease is not in default and everything is in order. So before you should be a consent and estoppel document consenting to that transfer and confirming that there are no defaults under the lease, which I do not believe that there are. And we would ask respectfully for you to approve that so that we can proceed with the transaction.
All right, thank you.
Happy to answer any questions.
Absolutely. And again, this was, and several of you were not on the board then when this original pilot was completed, but just one more quick item on that, the history behind that too, and we talked about it a little bit at the October meeting, was initially the museum was going in a different location, which is technically not Germantown, but it's almost Germantown. Right. It's just south of Jefferson Street. The Tennessee State Museum then want to go to that location, which meant the museum needed to find another location, which by all indications seems like everything is worked out anyway. But that's what kind of created I guess, a little bit more of a complicated arrangement just due to the arrangement also with Metro Nashville, if that's correct.
I think that is correct. And the museum had a long
Not really any questions. Thanks for the breakdown. It sounds like nothing is going to change, just a new lessor, and that's it from my understanding. Is that correct?
That's correct. This should be completely transparent for you guys. It won't be any difference at all. It's just another name on the lease. That's right.
And to be clear, that's potential because it has not closed yet, correct?
It has not closed.
Sure.
That's right.
Which obviously you need this first too.
We need this along with about 100 other things. We need this.
So I read through the document. I mean, everything sounds fine to me. So I really don't have any questions at this point.
Thank you. Board Member Cordova. Okay, I'll go here to my left. Board Member Oakley. Board Member Davis.
Looks pretty straightforward, and it was really nice to actually take our meeting on the road last meeting and go visit. But yeah, it sounds pretty simple. Pass through to the new owner. So thank you. Thanks for being here.
All right, and I'll go to our Metro Legal Counsel. This has been reviewed by you. You feel comfortable? No. Are there any issues or concerns? All right. Sounds good. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I'll make a motion to move it forward.
I'll second that.
All right. So we have a motion, a second. Any discussion? All right. And again, this is a motion to approve landlord consent to assignment and assumption of lease and estoppel for National Museum of African American Music at 5th and Broad. So no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. To item number V, old business meeting dates. So don't necessarily spend tons of time on this, but certainly want to have this conversation. So obviously, for those of you who have been on the board for several years, during COVID, when we were meeting virtually, we kind of had meetings on multiple different days. Sometimes we were meeting on Fridays, sometimes Wednesdays, sometimes Tuesdays. Last year, we set the meeting date based on response from the board to the third Wednesday. For the most part, we have stuck with that. And so from a timing perspective, though, if we want to continue to basically make this our base meeting spot, we need to reserve Sonny West well in advance. One item potentially is that should we have bond matters that come before us, it's very challenging for our issuers counsel, the Carpenter firm, to come on the third Wednesday of the month. Now, obviously, I can't speak to how many of those items we will have. There's always the option that we can have a special meeting or move meeting dates. But if another date worked for everyone, we could potentially move the meeting to that date. And then if we have a bond thing, great. We don't have to worry about scheduling another meeting. So one of those options would be the second Wednesday of the month as we move to 2023. I guess what I would ask is if there's any concerns or on that date moving forward, and then certainly I can have LaTanya reach out to the board members that aren't here as well to confirm that would work.
Tuesday is...
I said second Wednesday.
Oh, second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday of the month.
Oh, that's fine.
Same for third for me.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll follow back up on that here pretty quickly, so we can start reserving this. So we can go ahead and reserve the space. As far as meeting location, we still good with Sonny West as our base meeting place. Typically, the parking is a little bit better.
That's the one time this year. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay.
I like it here, so.
And certainly like this year, there will be times just due to elections, et cetera, we won't be able to use this location. But, certainly we've got some other options now that will work should we need to move, but just want to make sure there. And then going to item C of old business officer vacancy, board member Forrester resigned after following last month's meeting. I want to thank her. She's not here, obviously, but certainly want to thank her for her service to the board. Thank all of you for your service to the board. This is volunteer. You take time out of your day to come. So again, really appreciate everyone. Appreciate board member Forrester's service. So obviously with that does create a vacancy on the board. And I can tell you, because it just happened last night, there were two individuals who were nominated to fill that vacancy, and the vote is supposed to take place by Metro Council at the next council meeting. So I guess depending on timing, it's possible we would have that board member here at our next meeting in December, if not, certainly January. Any questions or comments from anyone? All right. And also one more item just on meeting. We talked about days. Does the 10 a.m. time frame, still work for everyone?
Yes, perfect. Yeah. 11 o'clock will be too late. That's sports lunch. At 9 o'clock.
You start getting hungry.
Yeah. 9 o'clock is too early.
All right. All right, we'll keep it at 10. And then as far as election new officers, so this year's kind of been unique. I think the last couple of years. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Something. Can we make sure whenever that is set that a calendar invite is sent for the year, or just to confirm the date, time, so we can have it on the calendar?
Sure.
That makes me, I missed the last one, but I missed a meeting not knowing, and I don't want that to happen again. So that'd be great. I know we had transition, so thank you.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you. And then for last item, the election of officers, I think last year, so in our bylaws typically we do that in July. I think that was kind of just based on Metro's kind of fiscal year ending, because Metro's fiscal year ends June 30th, starts July 1. Obviously, this year we've been through a lot of transition. I want to say last year, I think we did elections in August or September, so a little off. So I would say for this year, we need to go ahead and do elections at the next meeting. And then if everyone is comfortable, we could certainly just move potentially to doing that on a calendar year basis at the end of December. But
can I interject just a little bit?
yes, go ahead.
You guys need to discuss your next meeting, because if you're not going to move the meeting dates till the beginning of 2023, then your next meeting is scheduled for December the 21st.
That's correct.
You might want to discuss whether or not that date is a good date, considering it's right before Christmas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Nigel,
we should probably move that
one
back
more
a week.
thing.
Sure, go ahead.
If you're going to change when you're doing your officer elections going forward, we'll need to amend the bylaws.
Absolutely.
And same thing for the meeting date as well.
That's right.
It says, I think everybody has a copy, the second Tuesday.
Now, right, and I think, now, I don't want to play, wordsmithing, but I think that's what we changed what you and I spoke of when we amended it in 2016. We added some language in there, and I'm not looking at that right this second where it says "or from time to time" in that language. But yes, we can certainly, do that. And we obviously haven't been meeting on Tuesdays, at least for the past year, for sure.
Sorry for not pushing my microphone, but I just want to make sure whatever date the board decides, make sure that your bylaws correspond to that.
Yeah.
There won't be any confusion for you or the public. And then I can also get that calendar invite out for the year and make sure the room is reserved.
Yeah.
So
So we have to amend the bylaws once we decide.
It would make sense to, like I said, there's some language in there right now where it says and we amended this back in 2016. And like I said, during COVID, we kind of met too virtually, and we kind of met different days. But yes, it would make sense to clean it up. So if the second Wednesday works for everyone, certainly I can have LaTanya reach out to the other board members just to confirm. And then that date would start, yes, in 2023.
I vote, just to bump it up 1 month because of what she just said made total sense. The 21st is probably going to be like everybody's going to be gone. So if we wanted to do the 14th,
So I just need to, God check.
run that with some people. Yeah.
So I guess first of this was just scheduling meetings moving forward for more so focus for 2023. For December of this year, we'll just need to check on a location to see what's available, because my suspicion is probably Sonny West is not available. But while we're on that topic, for next month's meeting, yes, that is supposed to fall on the 21st. I guess who's available, who's not. That
I will not be available the 21st.
Okay.
I'll be available, but if we move it the week before, that would be better.
All right. All right, so we already have a couple people that won't be available. So we'll just have to see about scheduling, and then we'll go from there.
Can we go ahead and set a time date now?
He's got to check the
We have to check on location. But with that said, if we do meet in December, for those that are here today, does the 14th work for everyone at 10 a.m.?
Yes.
sorry to interject. If you guys want to decide on a date now, I'll do everything in my power to find you a room, if it's not this one. So.
Yeah. I think it was tentatively say the 14th. I think that's probably, it's a good rehearsal for the 23 schedule. We'll just start it 1 month early.
All right, well, we have a couple options. So, LaTanya, we can talk right after the meeting. All right, let's try to schedule for the 14th then. Get that information out. And then I'll be very brief today, just due to timing on chairman's report. Couple items. One, I think I talked about this briefly at last month's meeting. I had the opportunity to attend the Dr. Ernest Rip Patton new WeGo Transit Center groundbreaking last week. As I've talked about with this board several years ago passed a pilot for that project. So really great, just really, really awesome experience to hear all the speakers talk about Dr. Ernest Rip Patton, his heritage, and super great personally to know that our board played a small role in that project moving forward. And again, this board has talked a lot about affordable housing, workforce housing, and small business, and part of that, right, some of the affordable housing projects we've approved for bonds have been located in major corridors where there's public transportation. So, we know getting people to and from places to work, that's a big part of being able to afford housing, being able to improve your quality of life. So really excited about that. And I'll tell you, one of the items that a lot of folks mentioned was the fact that it's a $17 million investment in North Nashville. So really exciting. I'll ask LaTanya when we send out an email just with the link in case you want to see renderings of it. It's on the WeGo website, but super excited about that. And then I'll just say affordable housing. Going back to our meeting in August, we did a meeting solely focused on affordable housing. I've had some great conversations with some developers and just different organizations that didn't necessarily know that we could do bonds for affordable housing projects like Dominium. So anyway, really excited about that. I know this board wants to be intentional and seeing if there's a way we could do more of those. So anyway, lots of great feedback about us having that meeting. And also, I'll also ask LaTanya to send this out. We ask her to do it in one email. Have some pictures from Dominium for the Dominium project located on Cleveland Park that this board approved a bond for about a year ago. That's on Dickerson and Cleveland Park. So I drove by there the other day. Construction they're going. So anyway, part of what I told this board I would do as chair is continue to try to keep the board updated on previous projects that we approve so that we don't just approve these projects and then, they go away, what happens. So anyway, we'll try to get that out to the board as well. And then last item, don't want to necessarily get into a lot of details today, but certainly something for us to consider when it comes to affordable housing and developers. We've talked about some of our fees previously. And so one thing for us to keep in mind, if we do get affordable, let's just say, for example, an affordable housing developer that comes to us for bond issuance, are we comfortable with our current fees or do we want to change those? So we've got some, if you want to look at, I think there was I had our previous executive director do a presentation to the board, kind of like a mini training several months ago. So if you still have that presentation, there's some fees, some comparable fees from similar organizations and cities so that you can see, and then we'll get some of that out as well. But that's certainly something for, just ask you to think about as we move forward, with that. And then so anyway, I will leave it there. So very excited and super excited to have LaTanya on board. And this has certainly been a year of transition over the past year. Lots of changes, but very excited about the future of this board. So anyway, any other questions or comments from anyone? All right. With that said, we'll move forward and we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone, for your patience today.
Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.